pounds of fentanyl, pills, and powder seized in this case could have yielded a staggering 6.9 million lethal doses.
Dawn breaks cold over Yakima County. Frost clings to windshields. The streets are empty except for a few early commuters heading to work. But in the shadows, federal agents are already moving. This morning will expose something most Americans never imagined possible. Mexican cartel infrastructure operating not at the border, not in gang territories, but in neighborhoods that look exactly like yours. What they find will challenge everything you thought you knew about where danger lives. The investigation started with a mistake. A broken taillight on Interstate 82. Officer Rodriguez approaches the vehicle expecting a quick warning and nothing more. Then he notices the driver can't make eye contact. Hands trembling on the steering wheel. Nervous glances toward the passenger door. When Rodriguez asks to search the vehicle, the driver's face goes pale. Inside the door panels, vacuum-sealed packages. White powder that field tests positive for fentanyl. Stacks of cash bound with rubber bands. 3 phones, all encrypted, all showing recent activity. This isn't someone's personal supply. This is distribution. Hit like if you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. What Officer Rodriguez couldn't know at that moment was that he just uncovered the edge of a network stretching across 3 states. A family operation that had been moving fentanyl through suburban Washington for over a year without raising a single red flag. The DA takes over within hours. Agents recognize the packaging immediately. Sinaloa cartel methods, refined and perfected over decades. But deployed here, in American heartland communities where everyone knows their neighbors. Or thought they did. Surveillance begins. Undercover purchases. Financial analysis tracing cash flows through small businesses and personal accounts. Phone intercepts revealing coded conversations that seem innocent until you understand the language. The birthday gift is ready. Uncle arrives Thursday with the delivery. Confirm the package count for the family reunion. All cartel communication protocols adapted for American suburbs where suspicious activity would stand out immediately. The first network operates from a house in Pasco that neighbors describe as the perfect family. 3 brothers who coach Little League. A sister-in-law who volunteers at the elementary school. Kids who attend every neighborhood barbecue. Behind that facade, a trafficking operation generating $800,000 monthly. When federal teams execute the warrant at 6:47 a.m., they move with precision that comes from months of planning. Battering ram strikes the reinforced door. Agents flood through the entrance. Commands shouted. Hands go up. Inside, the evidence tells the whole story. Fentanyl pressed into counterfeit pills filling kitchen cabinets. Digital scales and mixing equipment on the dining room table. Ledgers documenting deliveries to Seattle, Spokane, Portland, Boise. A distribution network touching dozens of dealers across the Pacific Northwest. And in the master bedroom, $340,000 in cash hidden inside children's toy boxes. Comment exposed if this shocks you. But the second network takes federal concern to an entirely different level. 47 acres outside Yakima. Gated property with no neighbors visible from the road. The owner claims it's a livestock operation, but undercover agents watching from distance notice things that don't add up. Vehicles arriving after midnight with headlights off. Armed men patrolling at irregular hours. Deliveries that never match the farming equipment or livestock that should be coming and going. Something is very wrong here. When federal teams move on the property, they prepare for confrontation. This isn't a suburban home with families inside. This is cartel infrastructure that might be defended. The raid happens fast. Multiple entry points. Tactical teams securing each building simultaneously. And what they discover inside explains why the Sinaloa cartel chose this location. 127 firearms. AR-15s. Modified AK-47s. Handguns with filed serial numbers. An improvised explosive device stored in a temperature-controlled shed. $1.3 million in cash buried underground inside PVC pipes. And enough pure fentanyl to produce 2.1 million additional doses. This wasn't just a stash house. This was a fortress. If you believe this matters, type yes below. The property revealed operational sophistication that stunned even experienced federal agents. A reinforced safe room with surveillance monitoring every approach angle. tunnel systems connecting 3 separate buildings, encrypted satellite communication equipment that bypasses standard phone networks entirely. This was infrastructure designed for long-term operation. Not a temporary hiding spot, but a permanent hub where drugs arrived from Mexico, cash consolidated before moving south, and weapons stored for enforcement. The Sinaloa cartel had built this on American soil, in rural Washington state, and nobody noticed until now. Federal officials described the simultaneous takedowns as one of the most significant cartel disruptions in Pacific Northwest history. Not because of any single element, but because of what the combined operations revealed about how deeply these organizations have embedded themselves into American communities. They don't announce their presence with violence. They blend in. They use legitimate-looking businesses. They hire American citizens who have no criminal records. They operate with patience and discipline that makes detection nearly impossible without sustained federal investigation. This is adaptation. Evolution. 17 arrests. $2.1 million in assets seized. Properties frozen. Bank accounts locked. But everyone involved knows this is just one piece of a much larger system. Share this so your community understands what's happening. The real impact isn't measured in arrests or cash seized. It's measured in lives saved. 3.4 million potential fentanyl doses removed from circulation means 3.4 million moments where someone doesn't receive that lethal pill. It means emergency rooms that don't see those overdose cases. Families that don't bury their children. In the 2 months following these raids, Yakima County saw overdose admissions drop by 23%. First responders deployed naloxone less frequently. Hospitals reported reduced strain on emergency departments. Those are real people. Real families. Real communities getting a chance to survive because federal agents followed one broken taillight into a network nobody suspected existed. And that's just Washington state. Federal officials have confirmed similar cartel-linked operations in Oregon, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota. Rural and suburban areas that always considered themselves immune to this kind of threat are now recognized as strategic distribution points for organizations that view the entire country as territory. The Sinaloa cartel doesn't see borders the way we do. They see markets, opportunities, and they've spent years building infrastructure to exploit them. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. President Trump's executive order declaring fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction wasn't symbolic. It was recognition that this threat has evolved beyond traditional drug enforcement. When foreign criminal organizations establish this level of infrastructure on American soil, the response requires more than local police or even state task forces. It requires sustained federal coordination, border security integration, international pressure on countries where these cartels operate with impunity. The Washington cases proved what coordinated enforcement can achieve. But they also exposed how much remains hidden. Analysts estimate that for every network dismantled, 3 more continue operating undetected across the country. The question America faces now isn't whether the threat is real. These operations prove that beyond doubt. The question is whether we have the political will and resources to sustain the pressure needed to dismantle it. Because this isn't a problem that gets solved with a few arrests. It's a transnational system worth billions annually. From chemical precursors manufactured in China to clandestine labs in Mexico to distribution cells in American suburbs, the fentanyl supply chain operates with corporate efficiency and international reach. Disrupting it means attacking financial networks, choking supply routes, pressuring foreign governments, and committing to investigations that take months or years to develop. The 3.4 million doses seized in Washington saved lives. But the war continues in ways most Americans never see, in communities that believe they're safe, until the day federal agents knock on their neighbor's door. Comment your reaction below. Hit like if you believe justice matters. Subscribe to stay informed on the threats shaping our nation's future. This story isn't over. It's only beginning.